to Congress for the at-large congressional district, State of Alaska. Signed sincerely, Cheryl L. Johnson, Clerk.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition? Mr. Nadler.
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the gentleman from New York, the Honorable Pat Ryan, be permitted to take the oath of office today. His certificate of election has not arrived, but there is no contest and no question has been raised with regard to his election.
Without objection, for what purpose does the gentleman from New York, Mr. Katko, seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the gentleman from New York, the Honorable Joseph Sempolinski, be permitted to take the oath of office today. His certificate of election has not arrived, but there is no contest and no question has been raised with regard to this election.
Thank you, Mr. Katko. Will the representatives-elect present themselves in the well? All members will please rise, and the representatives-elect will please raise their right hand. So members come forward, and we welcome our Senate colleagues as well. Be part of the delegation. Where's the delegation? Oh, okay. Well, all members rise. Okay, and representatives present themselves in the well and please raise their right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this oath, this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God? Congratulations, you are now members of the 175th. Without objection, the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Hoyer, is recognized for 1 minute. Mr. Hoyer?
Madam Speaker, it is a rare privilege to be able to introduce as a new member the dean of a delegation. But that is my particular pleasure today. There are few honors greater, Madam Speaker, in this country than being elected by your neighbors and fellow Americans to represent them in the House of Representatives. I want to welcome Senator Murkowski and Senator Sullivan to our chamber and remind them you cannot be appointed to the House of Representatives. Only by election can one serve in the People's House. It's an extraordinary honor to have your friends and neighbors choose you to represent them in this body. When our friend and colleague Don Young passed away earlier this year, this House lost a giant. The people of Alaska lost a representative who had served them with great ability, energy, courage, and commitment for half a century. Earlier this month, Alaskans cast their votes to send a new representative to carry their voice and views in Washington. The woman they chose just made history with the oath that she took. She made history by becoming the first Alaska native to be elected to the Congress of the United States. Madam Speaker, she also made history as the first woman not to represent Alaska, but to represent Alaskans in the House of Representatives. Obviously, Senator Murkowski represents them in the Senate. In Representative Mary Peltola, Alaskans chose someone who was not only a friend of former Representative Don Young, but also someone cut from the same cloth. Someone who believes fundamentally in pragmatism, independence, and putting Alaska's unique needs first. Representative Peltola, the senators applauded that apparently. Representative Peltola is widely known across Alaska not only for her strong record as a state legislator, but as a champion for rural and Native communities who are too often overlooked by policymakers. Don Young did not let that happen. She won't either. She has built solid relationships across both parties in Alaska because of what many have called her extreme kindness and her determination to befriend all that she meets. Her record reflects Alaskans' independent approach to the most divisive issues, and in her election she appealed to Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Her campaign slogan reflected what she and many others consider the three fundamentals of Alaska: fish, family, and freedom. Indeed, she has already begun to assemble a bipartisan staff to serve her constituents. Representative Peltola has a long record of working well with Alaska Republicans and even campaigning for Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski, who is here with us today, when she faced a primary challenge from an extreme candidate. What Alaskans have known and shown by them electing Mary Peltola is that, like so many other Americans, they want to be represented by someone who is focused on bipartisanship and not on confrontation. They want someone who will put people over politics and get things done. That's been Representative Peltola's record back home in Alaska, and I know it will be her philosophy here in Washington. In so many ways, she is a perfect successor to Representative Young, who worked hard to make sure his fellow Republicans understood Alaskans' unique challenges and preference on major issues. In similar fashion, Representative Peltola will be an important addition to the House, helping us better understand the perspectives of rural and Native communities and the special concerns of Alaskans as our majority works to deliver results and expand opportunities for all Americans. I know, Madam Speaker, Mary will be warmly welcomed to the House by all of her colleagues on both sides of the aisle, because Alaska has only one at-large representative in the House. The honor falls to me today as the senior-most member of our party to introduce her. It's an honor I wholeheartedly accept, and I now ask my colleagues to join me in welcoming Alaska's new representative and someone we will all very shortly be calling our good friend, Mary Peltola.
It is the custom in the House for members of the delegation to join the newly elected and sworn-in members. So if the senators would like to join her in the well, you're most welcome.
The delegation is there.
The dean of the delegation, you're welcome to join her in the well, and any of our other colleagues who would like to join Mary Peltola in the well. The first
Madam Speaker.
Native Americans to join. Come on, others. Okay. The gentlewoman is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I will yield to the gentlelady from Alaska.
Thank you, Mr. Hoyer.
For such time as she may consume.
The gentlewoman is recognized without objection.
Thank you, Leader Hoyer, for the very kind introduction, and most especially for your words about my predecessor, Congressman for All Alaska, Don Young. And thank you, Speaker Pelosi, Minority Leader McCarthy, and so many of my colleagues from both parties who have been very kind in welcoming me to the House of Representatives. I'm also so grateful to have my husband, my 7 children and their loved ones, 2 grandchildren, and 2 sisters here with me this week. I couldn't do this without their love and support and votes. It is the honor. It is the honor of my life to represent Alaska, a place my elders and ancestors have called home for thousands of years, where to this day many people in my community carry forward our traditions of hunting and fishing. I am humbled and deeply honored to be the first Alaska Native elected to this body, the first woman to hold Alaska's House seat. But to be clear, I'm here to represent all Alaskans. I will work every day to make all Alaskans proud that they have entrusted me to carry their voices here. I'm excited to work with all of you to explain and take action to address Alaska's needs, just as you did with my predecessor, the Congressman for All Alaska, Don Young. Like all Alaskans, I mourned his passing. In Yupik, when we lose a loved one, we say, "Doyin reduk." This isn't the end. Don was a true institution, an Alaskan icon, someone who fought so hard and so well for our state for 49 years. I know many of you love Don, and I am sorry for your loss too. I'm committed to securing his legacy of bipartisanship and a deep respect for this institution. In my few days in Washington, I've already begun forming friendships with colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Now, I might have a different approach than Don. You know how soft-spoken he was. But you will still be hearing all about Alaska, our people, and our state's unique needs. I promised Alaskans I would fight for our families to lower the cost of living that is pushing too many of us to the brink, to invest in high-quality childcare and early education, and to grow Alaska's economy with good jobs that pay a fair wage. Resource development is important to Alaska's economy and our national energy security, and I look forward to working to ensure our state remains a global leader. I also committed to fighting for our fish. For so many Alaskan communities, fish are life. Our fish harvest is the best in the world. Half of the wild salmon sold in the world comes from our state, supporting good jobs that sustain strong communities. And subsistence fishing is not only an essential food source for so many Alaska families and communities, it is a sacred part of our traditions. Again, thank you for your warm welcome. We have a lot to get done, and I'm looking forward to getting to work. Uyana Chaknakbak, that means thank you very much. And with that, I yield back.
Without objection, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Nadler, is recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, as the Dean of the New York delegation, I have the distinct honor to rise today to introduce a new member of the House of Representatives from New York's 19th Congressional District, Representative Pat Ryan. Representative Ryan is a fifth-generation New Yorker who was born and raised in Kingston, New York. After graduating from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, he served our nation as an Army intelligence officer and deployed for 2 combat tours in Iraq. Returning to New York as a decorated veteran, Congressman Ryan went on to become a successful small business owner before returning to public service as the county executive of Ulster County. As county executive, Representative Ryan has been shown to be a dedicated public servant, and I know he does not take his new role lightly. As the dean of the delegation, I know I speak on behalf of the entire delegation when I say that Representative Ryan will be a wonderful colleague whose experience, entrepreneurial leadership, and history of devoted service to our country will help this chamber navigate the challenges of our times. I am now honored, Madam Speaker, to yield to my fellow New Yorker, Pat Ryan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. How are you? I know. Madam Speaker, I thank Mr. Nadler for those kind words and introduction. I am proud to rise today as one of the newest members and representatives in the House, serving the great people of New York's 19th Congressional District. On a clear, crisp May morning in 2004, I stood proudly with my West Point classmates. I raised my right hand and solemnly swore an oath to protect and defend our Constitution from enemies foreign and domestic. I still vividly remember the mix of emotions I felt as my classmates and I tossed 1,000 white service caps simultaneously into the air. Elation, relief, honor, pride, but mostly the tremendous weight of responsibility that came with that oath. I didn't know exactly what lay ahead, but I knew I would soon lead troops in combat. It would be my job to protect my fellow soldiers, to serve my country, to serve my community, to make difficult decisions with life or death consequences, and always to maintain my integrity no matter what. Today, 18 years later, I'm so proud to have renewed that oath to protect and serve our great nation. The weight of the responsibility I feel today standing before you all is even greater. The same way that I fiercely protected my fellow soldiers, I will fight for my constituents, the community that raised me, that sent me care packages every single week when I was deployed overseas, that has had my back every step of the way. I'll fight for their health, I'll fight for their safety, and I will fight for their freedom. As I look up into the gallery, I can see my wife, Rebecca, and our 2 young boys, Theo and Cameron. Theo's clapping. Good job, buddy. They're extremely well behaved tonight, and for that we are greatly appreciative. They're 3 and 9 months old. They're too young, 3 years. They're too young to fully appreciate the significance of this day and this moment, but I cannot wait to explain to them the immense pride I feel standing here before you, with you, my distinguished colleagues, humbly representing my community. This is a moment of immense consequence and challenge for our country. I truly believe it is an all-hands-on-deck moment for our democracy. And I pledge that I will fight every single day with every ounce of my being to deliver for the great people of New York's 19th District and to renew trust and faith in our nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, colleagues, and I yield back.
Pat, class act, buddy.
Without objection, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Katko, is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I join my colleagues in the New York congressional delegation in formally welcoming Congressman Joe Sempolinski as a new representative for New York's 23rd congressional seat. As someone who grew up in the Painted Post area and is currently raising a family in Canisteo, Joe is well suited to represent New Yorkers from across the Southern Tier and Finger Lakes regions in Congress. Beyond his local roots, Joe has a long and admirable history of public service to this region, and his record speaks for itself. After earning degrees from both Georgetown University and Yale, Joe took a position as district director for Congressman Tom Reed so that he could serve the community where he grew up. In addition to his years of work with Congressman Reed, Joe's commitment to service has kept him personally involved in Steuben County politics and ultimately led to his decision to run for Congress. With his demonstrated record of service, I am confident that Congressman Sempolinski will be a strong representative for the families of New York's 23rd District. I am proud to welcome him as a colleague, along with the rest of the New York delegation, to extend my heartfelt congratulations to Joe, his wife Angie, and their 2 beautiful daughters who are up on the balcony. And I thank you, Madam Speaker, and with that I yield back the remainder of my time to Mr. Sempolinski.
Great job. Thank you. Good to see you. Congratulations.
What's up, T-Dog? All right, man. Don't go.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank Congressman Katko for that wonderful introduction. I want to thank my fellow New York State delegation members for joining me. I want to thank the Minority Leader for being here. It is an honor to be the representative of the people of the Southern Tier and Finger Lakes. I'm blessed to have my family with me. My parents are here. My parents are here. They've given me everything. My in-laws are here, who have always treated me like family. I would not be standing here without the support of my wife, Angie, who's my soulmate and best friend. I'm also joined by my daughters. My younger daughter, Maddie's with us. She's my bright-eyed little sweetheart. She's 2. And I'm joined by my older daughter, JoJo. She's clapping. I think other Down syndrome parents will understand what I mean when I say that in the person of JoJo, I'm joined today in this chamber by my hero. Over the last few months, I've been repeatedly asked, why would you run when you would only serve for 4 months? My answer has always been, it would be an honor to serve for 4 minutes. Most people in history have had to live their lives under despots and tyrants, but not here, not in America. That is the freedom our ancestors purchased for us at such great cost. We choose who speak for us. To do so is a sacred thing. We have so many challenges right now as a nation. Rising prices steal from those who can least afford it. Crime puts fear in all of our hearts. And sadly, so many feel that they are not heard by their government. I can tell the people of the 23rd District, without doubt, they are heard. I'm blessed to be from one of the most beautiful places on earth. I pray that I can be worthy of the people who have sent me here to speak for them. I yield back.
Under Clause 5D of Rule 20, the chair announces to the House and that in light of the administration of the oath to the gentlewoman from Alaska and the gentleman from New York, the number of the whole House is now 433. Okay?